Ain't gonna be on this motherfucker long. So come on in here. Probably be out here 30, 40 minutes. 20. Come on in the chat room. Come on in the chat room. Come on in the chat room. What's up, Dre Day? I'm walking back from the liquor store in the corner down the street. And I gave this. I see why they say don't give people money. I gave somebody some money. This motherfucker tried to follow me home. Like, if you don't back your ass off, you already got your change, homie. Shit, I know times is tough, but god damn. Give a nigga a little bit of change, them motherfuckers start asking all kind of goddamn questions. Like, look, man, we ain't friends. I just saw you was in a bad way. This change comes with a condition that you don't fucking talk to me. God damn it. What up, y'all, though? Dre Day, you was there? It was good seeing people this weekend, man. It really was. Got to see a lot of people's face that be online. People was telling me like their Twitter names. And I was like, oh, for real? I don't know you. But or don't. It'd be a lot of shit going on in Twitter world and social media world. A lot of confusion. I stay away from that shit. I don't like confusion. So for that reason, it's a lot of good people that I didn't know their information because there's so many goddamn trolls on there. I don't pay attention to hardly nobody. But that's a good burp. I had one of them good ass Dr. Pepper burps. What up, Tori and Rain? Yeah, it was good meeting you, brother. Yeah, I got some mumbo sauce. Like, shouts out to one of my somebody I'm real cool with up in Seattle. He got family up in DC. So as soon as I landed, man, I had A1 accommodations, man. It feels good to be loved by people, man. Like, shit. That's why everybody out there, you gotta do right by people. You never know. Do right by people. Don't fuck people over, man. Don't fuck people over. When you do right by people, people do right by you. It's not a reason on earth to screw people over, man. When you know people, treat them with honesty, integrity, and the same love you want someone to treat your mother with. That's how I look at it. I treat people with the same love I want someone to treat my mother with. That's what I give everyone. Whether you worth 2 cents or $200 million or $2 billion, it's all the same. I got my room hookup. I got a homegirl from way back in the day that live in DC. I ain't seen, man, it was so good seeing Sadia. She worked at the Hyatt, man, hooked the nigga room up. Then as soon as I landed, I got people, I ain't even met, like, I know they people just put in one person put in one phone call. And after that, nigga, as soon as I got to my hotel room, I got a bunch of weed, got some wine. Nigga sent me every goddamn thing to the hotel. And then I said, let me get some of that mumbo sauce. Wherever the fuck it is. They were like, got you. Nigga, the locals hooked me up. Thank you. Man, Torian, it was good. Man, I was hoping you'd come to the after party, brother. What's up, Bruce? What's up, Rob? What's up, Quan? I wish Quan could have made it out there. Yeah, man. Like I said, I only got one wish. Happy. Hey, MK Ultra, that was a horrible joke, dog. Think about it. You devour Big Macs, dummy. You don't treat them good. I swear, you niggas be trying to... Let me tell y'all, you don't have to fit in a fat joke. Fat jokes are very natural. They come super easy. You should never force a fat joke, okay? All you gotta do is just sit back, and within 3 to 4 minutes, and a window's gonna open up for a good fat joke, and it'll be funny. But when you force a fat joke, you end up saying shit that don't make sense, and it looks really bad. Because fat jokes, short jokes, like extra crispy, dark jokes, you should never get those jokes wrong. Those jokes should hit 98% of the time. Then he comes, and then you follow it up with just the most stereotypical, easy comeback. Hey, bruh, fat jokes might not be for you, man. What's up, Kirk Owen? Were you there? What's up, Black Bravo Delta? Man, it's so dope. Like, but back to this dude. How do you say a bad fat joke and then follow it up with even more just obvious? It's like, these niggas be like, the sky is blue. You should laugh at that. No, nigga, that's okay. All right. It's very few ways to piss me off. I don't get pissed off too easily. But one way I do get pissed off is when you hit me with a bad joke. Come on now. Because the reason why I get pissed off when I get a bad fat jokes is because I like to laugh. Like, laughing is my number one priority. I don't care a lot of my images go and all that stuff, how people think, whatever they say. None of that means anything to me. But what does mean something to me is laughter. I love to laugh. And if you hit me with a bad fat joke, you offend me. That's like missing a layup. You ever watching basketball? Well, I ain't really fucking with basketball right now. But just say you watching a basketball game before this last week when all this bullshit happened, and somebody has a wide open layup and they miss it, or they have a dunk. It's like it's a dunk, and they do like a big ass where they jump high and everything, then they go to dunk that hole, and then the ball hit off the back of the rim, then bounce way back to half court. That's what it's like when you hit me with a bad fat joke. It's like you missed an open dunk. Get the fuck out of my face. Jesus. Oh yeah, Don Philly, head jokes. Head jokes, yeah. You better not mess up a head joke. If somebody got a big ass head, a big waterhead nigga, football head, Peyton Manhead, shaped ass nigga come walking in the room, you better not hit that big head motherfucker with a bad joke. That shit better hit every time. It's almost impossible to tell a bad big head joke. But some of you niggas find a way. Yeah, man. What's up, Mark? I appreciate that. Man, it was so much love this weekend. Again, to everybody I met, I love y'all. To everybody I didn't meet, it was some people that hit me up and was like, I was there. I was like, shit, I wish you said something. I wanted to meet everybody, especially in my chat room. Fuck Twitter. I wanted to meet the people who be in my chat room. I wanted to meet all you niggas. And I saw Netta J. She's usually in the chat room. She's not here now. She said she was there. I wish I would have met her. Mama Zeke, I wish I would have met you. I saw you were there. I wish I met all you motherfuckers, man. It'd have been my honor. It was my honor to meet the people that be up in the chat room, for real. Cause it was like after I finished talking, man, I took my ass around and just walked around and just feeling the vibe, because it was something about, like, the minute I got on my Uber and, like, I saw everybody there, the minute I got on my Uber, I just felt love. It just felt like everybody there was there for good intentions. Well, not everybody. It's always some people who are assholes, but we don't worry about those people. The 98% was there for good intentions, and I felt it, man. I felt it. Yeah, Quan, I had a good time. My homegirl that live out there, she took me on a whole ass tour on Sunday. She took me on a whole tour on Sunday, man. Shit. I went through the Southwest, the Northwest, the Northeast. We did everything except the Southeast. We didn't do the Southeast. Oh, did we do the Southeast? No, we did do the Southeast. We did Southeast and the Northeast. Yeah, she took me. We went by Frederick Douglass' house and all through the projects, all through the hood. Any city I go to, I have to go to the hood. I gotta go down to the hood. Every city, every city I go to, I like a local, especially if I know a local. Take me straight to the hood. Now I ain't getting out the car because I don't know the politics over in this bitch. But let's stay my ass in the car and drive through the hood. And that's what I did. We had like a 2-hour hood tour. That shit was fun. And then, what's up, Marlo Moon? What's up, Ben Frank? Yeah, I think I went to, Anacostia, yeah. I think that's where it was, one of the places. But man, I went all through there. I went through, went by Howard. It's some hospital we drove past over there before Howard, on the east southeast. We went through, man, it was cool. It was cool. And then last night, I wanted to shroom, but I didn't shroom. I wanted to. But I had a late dinner with Dr. Randy Short. Man, it was great meeting Dr. Short in person for the first time. Dr. Short is every bit as live in person as he is on here. But a very, very, very kind-hearted gentleman is what Dr. Randy Short is, man. Yes, it was really good meeting Dr. Short. Yeah, I went to Ben's Chili this morning today with Jade. I met up with Jade at Ben's Chili today. It was good meeting Jade. Jade is a sweet person, beautiful soul, beautiful soul. She's a very high vibrational person. It was super dope kicking it with Jade for a little bit. We didn't kick it long. We chopped it up for about 2 hours, and I had to catch my flight today. But we met up at Ben's Chili Bowl. That shit was dope. Nah, I just landed back in LA about an hour ago. I got home about 2 hours ago. Kicked it with my wife for a little bit. And then I just came out here about 10 minutes ago, rolled this bad boy up and said, let's talk to the people. Yeah, there was no buck dancing, yeah. It was very organized. And for Tariq to pull that off within 3 weeks, that's amazing. He had 3 or 4 weeks to pull that off. And to make sure you donate to the rap, because look, I was just looking around at what Tariq had going. Man, that shit cost. You hear these assholes online talking about he just want to make some money. And look, if it's anybody online come in talking about Tariq just want to make money, first of all, if they come in this chat room saying that shit, just kick them the fuck up on out of here. I don't want any poverty-minded people around here. It's enough YouTube channels out there with a poverty mindset. This isn't one of them. Everybody has a right to feel and think how they think. But if you have that poverty consciousness and you hold other people to your poverty consciousness, this ain't the place to be. Now, if you got a poverty consciousness and you want to do better, stay on around. Man, that is a worse sounding. Y'all heard that? That was a Mustang with that muffler. Y'all heard that shit? Did y'all hear that muffler? That was a fucking 2017 Mustang with that muffler. What the fuck was that? Man, that car gonna go in the shop and die real soon. That car got about 6 more months before it's done. Well, anyway, when I look at the level of, that shit wasn't cheap. because they had the mobile stage and the sound system rentals for that magnitude, for that particular sound system that they had. Just me being a musician, someone who put on plenty of shows as both a musician and as a comedian. I've put on shows. The stage and mic and speaker rig that Tariq rented was no less than $10,000. I mean, that's on the low end for a whole day. If it costs $20,000 for him to rent that, I wouldn't be surprised. But I mean, on the bottom basement level, just the stage and speakers alone, that's $10,000. The porta potties alone, that's another $3 to $5 grand. Just in we're just talking stage, mic, and porta potties. We already have anywhere from 15 to 25 grand. And then I'm sure, just know how things work. I don't know. Like me, I paid my own way. I didn't know I was going to speak. I didn't know I was going to speak until the night before. I got a call from Jay like at 10 o'clock the night before saying, hey, you want to speak? And I didn't even know I was going to speak. So I paid my own way. But I'm sure the people on the flyers, like Brother Kaba and James Smalls, Tariq comes off to me as a professional. He's a very professional cat. On the level of professionalism that Tariq Nasheed operates, I know James Smalls and those guys didn't come for free. I know I'm pretty sure he paid for their flights, hotels, and put money in their pocket. Tariq ain't the kind of person that's gonna tell you to do something, put your name on a flyer and say, hey, make your own way down there. So just looking between flight and accommodations, and for Dr. Ma'ad and Tariq, and the people that were on the flyer, I'm sure that ran like another 10 grand on the low end. He probably, on the low end, that ran like another 10 to 15 grand. Just eyeballing and the security. Oh my God, the security was so goddamn good. Okay, we're talking about another $5,000 right there, 5 to 10. From the looks of things, that production, that thing that Tariq put on was in the ballpark of $30,000 to $60,000 to put that event on. 30 on the absolute low end, 60 on the high end, probably somewhere in the middle, probably about 45 to 50 grand. But on the absolute bottom basement, lowest level, it was 30 grand to put on that, what he put on. This is me as a performer, knowing how much shit cost. And then, so yeah, so whatever donations he got, I'm sure he's still in the motherfucking red. I'm sure of it. I'm sure he's still in the red. But it was very high level. It really was. And for that to happen in 3 to 4 weeks, I'm impressed. Because I've been flown all across this country as a performer, both as a drummer and as a comedian. I live this fucking life being on the road and grabbing the mic and talking to people. I live this. I know how much this shit costs. Hell, I know how much it costs to book me on the road. If I'm going to go speak somewhere, I ain't leaving LA for less than $10,000. Tell you that right now. Anything else, we can negotiate. Comedy, less. I don't have that kind of ticket when it comes to comedy. I ain't on that level yet, but it ain't gonna be too much less than that. Tell you that much. But to speak at an event where it's going like, if I'm doing any event that has like 5,000 people, I ain't leaving LA for less than 10 racks, plus expenses. So that shit ain't cheap to put on. That shit is not cheap. And so for him to do it the way he did it, just, I want to show nothing but love to that brother. We talked for a few minutes back. Said my first time meeting Tariq face to face. That was cool, but nothing but love. Jay was extremely organized with what was going on. Connie, it was dope kicking it with Connie. I love Connie. Connie Collins is beautiful, beautiful person, beautiful soul, beautiful soul. And Dr. James Smalls, what was dope, was James Smalls encouraged me in my work on my Black American music tree. He gave me a lot of encouragement, man. To hear that from James Smalls, man, and then to meet Brother Kaba face to face for the first time, yeah, it was beautiful. Yeah, man. So, yeah, it was beautiful, man. You're right, Torian. This rally was needed, man. It was needed. It was needed. Because it really, for nothing else, because this was going to happen. People are going to ask, okay, what did you gain from this rally? Let me answer that question. Anyone that's asking that question in your mind, and I'm sure those of you who went, you've been asked this question. What do you get by having a rally for reparations? Okay, let's break it down. One, you're bringing national attention to your cause. Mind you, rallies happen every weekend in Washington, D.C. There's 10 rallies going on a day in D.C. I get it. But that's how you bring attention to whatever it is you have going. When it comes to reparations, the news don't want to talk about reparations. And when they do it in a very controlled, contrived manner. So you get the talking points out in your verbiage. That's one thing. You get the agenda out in your verbiage. I'm not one to judge the size of rallies. I'm okay with people having a rally and only 5 people show up. Most things start small, you know, but this one was a little different. This one hit. It was at least 5,000 people there, at least. Because when I did that video when I was walking around, there was probably about 4,000. Probably another 1,000 people came after that video where you see me recorded walking around. Probably another 1,000 people came after that. The back just kept getting further and further back, like from the stage. You saw the back of the area just going. Every time you look up, it'd be more people further back. So you get the message out. Yes, sir, brother. Torian, yes, sir. One, you get the message out. Bruce, I said 4,000 to 5,000, I think was there. You get the message out in your verbiage. 2, you get a gathering of like minds. Let me tell you something. It's a Bible saying. But remember, the Bible is just old wisdom that existed hundreds of thousands of years before the Bible was written. It's just a collection of old knowledge with sprinkling a lot of bullshit, with the sprinkling of bullshit put in by the Europeans at a later date. But it's still a bunch of good knowledge within the Bible. And I know I'm not a Christian, and I don't give a fuck if you are or not either, okay? I'm starting off by saying that. It's just talking to things on a spiritual level. But the Bible say where two or more are gathered. You know, a prayer of one, well, they say put 1,000 to flight, two will put 10,000 to flight. There's a synergy created. Basically, the scientific way of explaining that's the spiritual Bible way of explaining it. The scientific way of explaining it is synergy. There's a synergy created. There is amongst people with a like mind. When you get that sort of collective consciousness going and stirred up into a pot with 5,000 like-minded people, those 5,000 like-minded people take that message back to wherever they come from, and some people are going to turn one person onto it, to reparations that wasn't really on it. And it's been people who are on the fence. You know how things are in life. Whenever you want to change, you need a leader and a second leader and a third lead. By the time you get that third lead, the momentum catches. So it's a lot of people who've just been sitting on the sideline watching and observing to see if this is real. Those people see that many people show up from around the country in less than 3 weeks. What that does to those people who are on the fence, this is to those who are willing. We're not speaking to the assholes who just are stubborn and they gonna be who they be. Fuck them, we ain't talking about them kind of niggas. We talking about the people who are halfway with an open mind. That's what we talking about here. Those people that are on the fence, they see that many people there, then what it does for them is it makes it believable for the people on the fence. And there are going to be some people who were there that are just going to turn two people on to reparations. And those two are going to turn one more. And that one is going to turn three on. But it's other people who they going to be so excited when they get home, they're going to turn 10, 15 people on to the talk of reparations. And they're going to be able to explain it because it was there's such a diversity of speakers this past weekend. It's the people who showed up, they're going to have the language. Oh, Larry calling me. Hoe ass nigga. Get in the chat room, nigga. Anyway, my bad for the call. I'm fucking up my train of thought. Anyway, those people are going to turn people onto it, and it becomes real to a lot of people. And the reason why we don't have reparations is because we really don't push for them. We've allowed the immigration debate to take over. We've allowed the abortion debate to take over. We've allowed the LGBTQ debate, the war, the war in Afghanistan. We allow that shit because we be the first ones stomping for the people pushing that bullshit, saying vote for them, even though they putting all this other shit first. That's something that we allow, black people. As we get to the point to where right now, if I could guesstimate, it's 3 to 5% of black America that's really going heavy for the reparations. Another 15% that's aware and they may say something every now and again. But really, 80% is still oblivious to what's going on. 8 out of 10 black people, just being realistic, are oblivious to this whole reparations conversation. Okay? Because the mainstream does not talk about it. And if you're not on YouTube, if you're not on Twitter, you don't really know what's going on when it comes to this. Or if you're on YouTube and Twitter, but the only people you follow is Roland Martin and Jamel Hill and these dickhead media types with the blue checks. You may have heard people talk reparations, but you don't understand how serious we are about it if you're just following D.L. Hughley and and all these dickheads, you're not really you're not really up to date on the level of intensity regarding reparations. So what this rally does is, for those 8 out of 10 who aren't up to date and aren't about game, for them, they see, okay, this is some serious shit. Why haven't I been hearing about this in the news? Because if you ask a black person, would you take some money from the government that's owed to you, they're all going to say yes. Well, no, I'll tell you that. They're not all going to say yes. It's always going to be them few people that be like, I don't want the government to give me nothing. That's blood money. Or what you pay your rent with, nigga. Oh, my bad, you ain't paying your rent on time. Maybe you better get some motherfucking blood money and get your credit right, nigga. Come on now. You get a few of them assholes, but I guarantee you, 100% of the people saying that they won't take that blood money, I guarantee you, 100% of them will. I guarantee you, 100% of them will. As soon as that direct deposit come, they ain't donating shit. Hell, shit. The only thing these niggas gonna be donating that money to, all these I don't want no blood money niggas. The only thing they gonna be donating it to is to the casino. Niggas gonna be right on that blackjack table in the slot machines, going down to Biloxi, Mississippi, and all them engine casinos wherever you live in this country. We all got them around the corner somewhere. We all got them. So they full of shit. So the thing that's stopping black America from getting reparations is the belief that we're not going to get them. Plain, simple, straight to the point. The only thing stopping black people from getting reparations is the belief that we're not going to get them. The belief we're not going to get them is what makes us say and put LGBTQ rights ahead of our reparations. The belief that we're not going to get them is the reason why we put, and this is no disrespect to the LGBTQ people. Like, anybody that's ever met me that's gay, they'll tell you I've treated them with the same exact respect and love. What's up, bro? Yes, sir. Man, look, I got nothing but the highest level of respect and love for gay people. I'll make that very clear. Now, I will crack jokes on you motherfuckers, because I'm going to crack jokes on everybody. That's how much I love and respect gay people. I love you enough to crack jokes on you. If I don't crack jokes on you, I don't love you. It's just that the Democrats allowed they frame things in a way, and they give in a way to make sexuality a political position. When really, if we all telling the truth, we should all have human rights. If we're just gonna talk real turkey when it comes to government, civil rights shouldn't exist. LGBTQ rights shouldn't exist. Women's rights, immigrant rights. Immigrants. If you fucking wasn't born, if you came here illegally, you got the right to take your ass back home. That should be how it is, because that's how it is in any other country. You can't just come over and just collect benefits. That's something different. But for citizens, and just even as an immigrant, you're still a human. You still should be treated decently if you got arrested. You should be decently and humanely sent your ass back home. I don't believe in cages and disrespectful treatment. We should treat the illegal people here hospitable and give them a hospitable homecoming back where they came from. Because my family been paying taxes here since it was the 13 colonies, and since the colony of Virginia, god damn it. So yeah, take care of home first. But back to what I'm talking about. I got love and respect for gay people, man. But they play these wedges, when in real life, it should just be human rights. If you're a human, These are your rights, and these rights cannot be infringed upon by any government official. That's how it should be, but that's not what it is. So since that's not what it is, that's not what it is because the government, the media, they have us playing along these stupid ass lines of division. But me personally, I can't do anything about changing that division. That division can only be changed by the people who are allowing themselves to be divided up on them lines. So in the meantime, when it comes down to it, the black people have been pushed to the side, and they created all of these divisions specifically so black people would not get restore reparative justice, specifically so we won't get rights. They create divisions, and they will come up with a new division every 6 minutes if they have to. So since a lot of people who classify themselves as gay has allowed the government to make them into a separate political party, I have to address that political party because that LGBTQ political party was created specifically to deny rights to black Americans, whether that be black gay people, black straight people, black men, women, trans. See, all of these divisions that they make that the black ones go into, the black people still don't get the equal justice out of it. The black gay people, the black LGBTQ, they still get the short end of the stick. And I was going to say a joke, but no, I'm going to leave that alone. I was about to say something that would have been a very nasty joke, but y'all, yeah. I was about to say that. I didn't say it. Respect. But, oh, Larry, your whole ass in here. What's up, Lady Hotep? But we should live, what's up, best rep? We should live in a world that if you're born a human, these are your rights. And if you break a law, there should always be, other than molestation, other than molestation, there should always be a way for people to come back and be integrated back within the society. And even some murder shit. If somebody was coming at you, you had to defend yourself, if that's what the situation was, these people should be fairly integrated back into society. Now, if you're some fucking serial killer, then send your ass home. But that's the society that we should live in. But the reason why we don't live in that society is because groups allow the government to assign them these divisions, and they play naive, and they gather up, whether it be the women's movement or the like whatever, the liberals, the Democrat, the conservative, the Tea Party, these divisions. People willfully dive into these divisions as long as it gives them power over black people. As long as it gives them power over us. So why am I talking about this when it comes to reparation and the rally? This rally brings attention to the people who play in these divisions, the black people especially. Because when we were up there rallying, Marcel Dixon spoke. Marcel Dixon is openly gay. There was openly gay black men speaking. There was way more straight men speaking, and you got to see real black men. They were real black women. Connie, she's great. Jade, great. These are some of the classiest women you'll ever meet. Teslin, she's great at what she does, being a reporter. Teslin's great. You saw real people who are really good at what they do. Dr. Randy Short. And so whether you're gay, straight, LGBTQ, or a midget, if you could trace your lineage back to the 1800s, you get a check. And after that, damn how you feel about the rest of this bullshit. That's nonsense. Oh shit, dropping my can. And then you see, here's the other thing you get out of the rally for reparations. Another talking point you can give is people going to say, okay, why do you need reparations? What is reparations? Like, that happened a long time ago. And so here's how you answer that. This is how I answer that. It's money that was taken from my family generation after generation after generation because of the color of their skin. See, a lot of people like to keep it as slavery, and slavery is of course, we're going to start there. The slaves built the country, yes. But slaves were more than just manual labor. And there was always slaves that had greater access to resources. The same way we in today's modern world, we'll put the face of that as basketball players and football players and rappers. They're slaves, but they just have greater access to resources. Do you know Bass Reeves? Yes, Bass Reeves was a slave, but you know what his job was? Bass Reeves was a dead-eye shooter. When he was a child, his slave master would put him in shooting competitions. As young as the age of, Bass Reeves started winning shooting competitions at 8 years old. And the slave master just would keep the money. Like that existed. You had bucks in slave days that they had your wrestling, like you saw in Django, and you had your different sports and your different things like that. Well, if you had a slave that was good at a sport, you would just put him out there, and they generate a lot of money. And those slaves, there were slaves during the 1800s and the 1700s that made enough money for themselves to buy their own freedom, but they wouldn't do it. You got to really dive into slavery. You got to really dive into it. There was some that made money like that, and there were a lot that did buy their freedom. There were more that did buy their freedom than didn't. The ones that made a little, because it was like slavery wasn't a monolith. Some of them had different agreements with their slave masters. And so you had slaves that were engineers, and a lot of your engineers that built a lot of the stuff in the 1600s, in the 1700s, they were most slaves, could they learn? No. But some slaves were engineers. And they would go around and they would be leased to different places, and of course, but the master keeps the money. So when it comes to reparations, I get why some of the slaves that could have bought their freedom didn't. Because where were they going to go? What economy could they create for themselves? At least when they were under master, they were going to get a guaranteed something. So black people were frozen. The free black people were frozen out of the economy. So you may say some black people were free. Should they get reparations? Yes. Because the black people who were free that weren't enslaved, they were frozen out of the economy. And you see a lot of migration amongst free blacks going to different states, because as slavery got more and more popular, a lot of your white landowners, oftentimes their family members, cousins, wouldn't do commerce with them. So they were forced out of wealth, generational wealth that could have happened. And then you got the people who were enslaved that were workers. You had some engineers. You had some musicians that were enslaved. And Massa would go around and put them on tour. And yeah, there were black bands and shit touring the country in the 17 and 1800s. Choirs. All this shit that's going on now. Everything, look, let me tell y'all something. When you listen to them slave narratives and read different books on like the times of the day, it ain't nothing going on now that wasn't going on then. Only difference is they didn't have cars and the internet and cell phones. But when it comes to sports was going on during slavery. Music, entertainment was going on during slavery. Okay? The shit didn't start when black people got free. The shit was going on when we were enslaved, too. We need reparations for that. Because all the shit that's going on now was going on then. You had so many levels to slavery, but you had one common denominator. No matter what level to slavery, these people weren't free to do and go as they please. They weren't free to name their price and make money for their work that they put in. All the musicians that were around. Now, was music available to every black person? No. Most black people, music was not available to. I'm not saying there was a bunch of slaves running around doing music. No. It was a select few. It wasn't a lot. I'm not saying there were a bunch of black slave engineers. No. It's just like now. How many? It's a lot. It's compared to 40 million black people. How many are engineers? It was a select few that were engineers back then, but they still existed. But no matter what level of slave they were, whether they were a field slave, house slave, engineer slave, music slave, buck slave, they didn't have the freedom to go about as they pleased, and they didn't have the freedom to be paid on scale for their talent. That's why we need reparations. This happened to your family. It happened to my family. Black people, we're the genius behind the country. I had so much fun in D.C. because that's Benjamin Banneker town. That's all Benjamin Banneker. When I was going down the streets, I got some pictures. I'll put some pictures up here on YouTube, but I put a bunch up on Facebook and Instagram. But I'm looking because the city of Washington, D.C. is designed in alignment with the constellation Virgo. And I went to the Washington Monument last night, to the Lincoln Memorial, and I sat on the steps. And I was just looking at the stars. And right when Virgo got in the sky, it was like I couldn't see Virgo. I think Gemini was in the sky. But right time Virgo started to come up, it got cloudy. So I couldn't see Virgo. But I wanted to see it because DC is in alignment with that constellation. And that's Benjamin Banneker. You know? Benjamin Banneker created the Farmer's Almanac. The Farmer's Almanac saved this country from famine. People don't understand, this country was going into famine. It took Benjamin Banneker to create the Farmer's Almanac and realign our dates and clock interstellarly. Because after, when Augustus Caesar had the calendar reform, his stupid ass didn't account for the quarter day. And then there was another calendar reform, I think it was in 15, was it 15? There was a calendar reform like in the 14 or 1500s, not too much longer after the Spanish Inquisition. There was another calendar reform. And again, those assholes didn't add the quarter day. So by the time you get to the late 1700s, the dates and the farming seasons was off by like 2 weeks because a quarter day hadn't been accounted for in about 200 years. So the farming seasons were off by about 2 weeks. And that slight change, the crops didn't come in. And they were coming in less and less and less. And the United States was headed to famine. They had to call on Benjamin Banneker. And Benjamin Banneker, when he created the Farmer's Almanac, he talked about the high pressures and low pressures and the wind patterns. The same shit you see on the news right now when you watch the news and they give you the weather report. That's all based on Benjamin Banneker. It's all based on one black man. That's just one of the scientific contributions that we brought to this country. And we also got to look at cause and effect. What's the cause and effect relationship behind that? The cause is black inventions. The elevator, the cooling truck, the freezer truck and the freezer at home, the doorknob, potato chips. These are all things that boost the American economy. It makes the economy more efficient. When you invent the cotton gin, it pushes United States cotton out of Mississippi ahead of cotton out of West and East Africa. It pushes it because you got to realize the French got colonies. The Spanish got colonies at this time. Matter of fact, during the time of Benjamin Banneker, the French were more powerful than the British. The British was just really getting their international weight up. The French had more power than the United States. Let's just talk history. When we're talking the 1700s, at the time of Benjamin Banneker, the French are they're the big boys on the block, not the United States. It's the French. They're the big boys on the block. They're the one that owned all that land of the Louisiana Purchase land from Louisiana to Minnesota. The French had that. When we get to the 1700s, the Spanish, they for the most part lost their power. They're holding on. But by the time we get to the 1700s, the Spanish is losing their power decade by decade. The French are the strongest European nation. And the Dutch are right there neck and neck with the British. That's why New York used to be called New Amsterdam. It was the Dutch that got that shit first. The British are just passing up the Dutch when we get into the 1700s. The United States isn't yet a country. It's on its way. So it was the brain of the black American. It was the brains of the black Americans that when the United States separated itself from Great Britain, not only the brains of the black man, the military might of the black man. Because the British got black people to fight on their side too, but more fought on the side of the United States. So it's our brawn and our brain that when the United States separated from Great Britain for good, it was the brain of the black man that invented things out of nowhere that pushed the United States economy into a super economy. This doesn't happen over happenstance. The British started the Industrial Revolution. Yeah, the British started it, but the United States ended it. The United States had this when we get to our black inventions. They have the Black American that when something is needed, and mind you, there's a cause and effect relationship. When a black person invents the potato chip, that's just one more thing to sell to the rest of the world. You guys don't get to sell this. When the Black American invented ice cream, that's one more thing to sell. Economies grow off sales and purchases. That's how any economy works. And the more money that's being spent, that's why when you pay your taxes every year and you have a business and you make a really good year, they want you to spend that money. If you don't spend it, there's going to be a heavy tax on whatever you don't spend, because that's how you keep a super economy going. People have to keep buying and selling, buying and selling, buying and selling. And the more you have to buy and sell, the more you boost your economy. The United States moved ahead of Great Britain and France and Germany because they had more to buy and sell than anyone else. What were they buying and selling? Shit that black people created, down to our music. Hell, black people, we so goddamn dope. This country ain't even gotta produce nothing out the ground to sell. They sell our thoughts, black people. Think about that shit. When they're selling hip hop and rap and funk and neo soul to the rest of the world, they're celebrating black people just having a good time. Black people having a good time is a multi-trillion-dollar industry. The rest of the world, the people that they enslaved, they have music too, but the only people buying it are other people of that culture. The Black American creates the music that the rest of the world wants to buy. That's not us. We didn't force that on nobody. Matter of fact, we ain't even thinking about these motherfuckers when we create this music. We just trying to sound like as a drummer, shit, we just trying to keep our position because this is 15-year-old drummer right behind you that's bad than a motherfucker. If you play music in church, you know what I'm talking about. You on the keyboards and you cold, but here comes this little 16-year-old black kid doing shit that you couldn't do till you was 30. And he working that motherfucker. That's your competition. As a black musician, your competition is the church down the street. They choir sounding better than yours. You better get on it. We ain't thinking about these people when we invent this shit. But it provides something for this American economy to sell. So when we talk about reparations, the one-to-one, the exact explicit reason the United States is a super economy is because of solely the inventions and the creations and the labor of black Americans. It's not just the labor, it's the creations too. We can build taller buildings. Why? Because we invented the fucking elevator. Black people. Okay? That's why reparations is the talk. We've contributed. We are the ingredient. We are the oil in this machine. I don't give a fuck how big a machine is. If a machine ain't got no fucking oil, it ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about reparations. That's what we're talking about. Okay? There's a one-to-one connection between the United States super economy and black Americans. And it's not just labor. It's brains too. It's brains especially. Because think about this. Let's walk this back for a second, then I'm gonna get off. Because I'm gonna go back here and kick at my wife. But I'm gonna say this one last thing, then I'm gonna get the fuck out of here. Why we need reparations. When it comes down to it, countries, the biggest threat to any country politically is internal destabilization. Countries need the citizenry to go along with whatever it's doing. If it doesn't have that, the schism that's created opens a door for other nations to undermine a country's agenda. So countries are hyper aware of internal destabilization. That's why you have elections every 2 years, because it needs to know that you're bought into whatever bullshit they have planned. It's very insecure. This country is very insecure with itself. When you demand reparations and you say, I'm not going to move politically until this is addressed, everything else can come to a halt, now you get into a country's number one fear: the citizens not getting along. So at that point, a country has to decide, are we going to allow ourselves to be open? Are we going to open ourselves for our enemy nations? And you know, the United States gets a new enemy every day. It's a new enemy in this goddamn country. So remember, empires don't fall from outside attack. Empires fall from within. Remember that. The Roman Empire fell from within. The Greek Empire fell from within. The 18th dynasty fell from within. The 19th dynasty, when the Hyksos invaded the Egyptians, I think it was after the 3rd dynasty or 4th dynasty, them motherfuckers was on some bullshit. Carthage fell from within. Rome never took out Carthage. Carthage fell from within. Countries fall from within. And then once they've crumbled from within, then the next superpower comes over and takes over and beats them up out of their shit. But so countries are hyper aware of that. So when you have a general segment of the population that's really the pulse of the consciousness of the nation, when they pull back, what that does is it moves into warp speed the internal destruction of your nation. So countries have to decide, is not paying these people worth outside threats having an opportunity to take over what we built here? Or do we just give them some money that's going to come right back to us? You put countries in a position when you make these kind of demands where they then have to make tough decisions. And on top of that, man, when you believe something and you follow through with action and you give it all your energy and effort, you're going to win. That's just a law. Any group that has a dedicated will to achieve a common goal, that group's going to win. Now, that group is going to get his ass kicked a lot, but you only need to win once. It took the European finally started getting off his ass from during the Dark Ages, when the Crusades started going on in the 1000s. It took from that point till, well, really, the fall of the Roman Empire, 1900 years ago, 1800 years ago, the fall of the Second Roman Empire. It took from then to the 1600s. It took 1,200 years. Think about it. It took the Anglo-Saxon 1,200 years to recover from the fall of the Roman Empire. It took the Visigoth and the Vandal 1,000. It took them 1,000 years to recover from the fall of the Roman Empire. 1,000. Black people, we failed. Black Americans, North American black people, we failed progressively from 1619 to about the mid-1800s. Because there was still a lot of unconquered land in the United States in the 1800s. In that short amount of time, look where we are. And so these people who run this country, going back to what I was talking about, the Anglo-Saxon and the Vandals going over 1,000 years before they was able to halfway get back on their feet. They don't want to go back to that shit. So if that means coming off a little bit of bread, without having to go back to their Hellenistic period and the Middle Ages and the Dark Ages, they'll do it. They'll do it. They don't want to go back to that. They don't want to go back to that. Because like I was about to say before I get up out of here, every European nation has slavery, all of them. Except Russia. Russia didn't do slavery. They don't tell you that though. Russia didn't do slavery. But Germany, France, Italy, Spain, the British, they all had slavery. What was the difference between those slaves and the slaves here in North America? And this is no disrespect. Everyone got treated brutally, but it was something about the North American slave that within that brutality created a music that the world wants to consume. Invented things that the world now still uses. And that's why we need reparation. And after we get it, we'll show the whole world how to get theirs too, like we always do. So remember that. Look back at the chat room. I see Quan here, somebody named Booker Enoch. What was they talking about? Pretty sure they wasn't talking about shit. You hit them. Yeah, get them trolls up out of here. Man, but I would talk to y'all longer, but I'm about to kick it with my wife. She's done watching that bullshit ass show. She was watching some bullshit. I was like, man, let me get out here and talk to these niggas. You finished watching that shit, I'll holler at you in about an hour. Whatever that. But yeah. I'm still gonna go up to the improv tonight though. Hey Larry, I'm going to the improv. We're gonna be talking some shit. But yeah, man. But it was a good weekend anyway. It was a good weekend. I hope to do. You know, it was just, if you were there, it was dope being there, man. It was just dope being there this weekend. And I think a lot got done. Messaging got out. A synergy was created that's gonna have a ripple effect. People are gonna go home and send that vibration and send that message, that very clear, concise message out to their friends and family who have questions. And to those who are on the fence, they see it was something real. And when we get to the point to where 10% of black people demand this, we'll have it. Maybe not even full 10%. But that's the goal. All we need is 10% to put they hooves down and be like reparations or nothing. That's all we need. We get that 10%, the other 90% gonna follow because all the niggas is followers anyway. But yeah, I'll holler at y'all tomorrow caffeine. Oh, and hit up Jayla, Weed Smoke 22. Hit up Jayla and get lightthemood.com and get your readings from me too at breakthroughas.org. But hit up Jayla at lightthemood.com. All right.